Hey guys, so I'm back with another process video today, and I'm going to be using mostly the Amy Tangerine Better Together collection, which is one of my newer products, but as I mentioned in my previous video, I'm allowing myself for these first couple of layouts to use whatever products I want, just because I haven't scrapbooked in a really long time, and I want to find my creative process. I have, of course, made more videos than I've been showing you guys. I made more layouts that aren't all on process videos, or they will be in the future. They're not uploaded on YouTube yet. So I'm now using older stuff. I'm not using brand new things anymore. But I actually made this background back in October. So yeah. And then I put it to the side and I didn't use it. So I cut, I think it was 3-inch, these strips are 3 inches wide, and I just picked some papers from the paper pad in the blue colors and yellows because I was planning on scrapbooking some pictures that I didn't end up scrapbooking on this page. So I'm trying different styles, different things out until I finally settle on an assortment, I guess, that I like. And the problem with that yellow polka dot is that it's white based, so it kind of gets lost in the background. So I decided to go with some more solid colored papers. And you could say the same thing about the stars, but the stars are blue, and between the two bold patterns, I thought it looked okay. So there are the pictures I was planning on using, but I'm not going to end up using. So now I'm just trimming down everything so they're at the same height exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and glue things down. So now everything's glued. And then this was a different day in January. So I had that photo from August that I wanted to scrapbook. And I've tried to scrapbook that photo 3 times and have not been able to. It just wasn't working. But I finally made it work. So here I went through the Amy Tangerine plus 1 6x6 paper pad, which is a really old paper pad, and is one of the things on my list that I want to use up. And I discovered that the blues in that paper pad are an exact match to the blue greenish colors in the Better Together collection. And I've been struggling to find things to match with the blues in that 6x6 pad, so I am super happy to have discovered that because now I can use it up more easily. So anyway, I had that green paper in mind over there, but first I decided to go through the cut aparts from the Better Together 12x12 paper pad and just layer a couple of those. So I have a blue one and a navy one going there, and it kind of brings in the colors from the background. And then I added a horizontal strip of that green paper that I had originally picked out. And now I decided that it's too blue and greenish. I originally thought I would just go with the blue and green and maybe some pops of yellow, but I decided it needs something else. So I'm going to do some mixed media. I'm taking some white gesso first and a palette knife, and I'm just spreading it in 2 areas. So like where my main cluster is going to go, where the photo over on the left, and then just a tiny bit on the right where I'm planning to do a little embellishment cluster. Now these are some other cut aparts, but they're smaller than the 3x4s and 4x4s that you would typically use in Project Life, so I keep them in a different container, and I kind of treat them like die cuts. So I'm going through that, and I found this yellow piece that I thought would look really nice right there, and just brought in some more yellow. So I still haven't decided what colors I'm going to use on the background, which is why I'm just working on the layers before I finish up the mixed media process. And then I'm working on the cluster at the bottom there. I'm trying to bring in some yellow down there as well, and also that greenish color. So I'm using that tiny scrap from the paper pad, but then I decided I didn't like that, so I went back into the die cuts into the cut aparts from the Amy Tan, the Better Together 12x12, and I just found a light blue and a navy that pulled in the colors from the main cluster, and now I'm still trying to incorporate that yellow somehow, but it's not going to make it, I think. Okay, so I'm just fussing with some stuff, and then this is another day, which is why the lighting changed, and I decided to add the mixed media, because I think that it would help me with the design and what I want to use on the page. So I decided to add some pink. It was a bit risky, but I liked how it turned out. So I'm using the Picked Raspberry Distress Ink, and I'm just adding some water and the packaging technique. So packaging technique, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, is when you add, but just in case, is when you put like a paint or a distress ink or an ink on a piece of packaging, like a plastic piece, then you add water to it and then you just smush it on the page. It's really, really easy, and I always like how it turns out. And then I'm using mustard seed to add a pop of yellow, and I'm trying to not overlap it with the pink too much because it has not dried yet, and then the distress inks react and it'll get a weird orangey color. And I did that for the most part. That there is a spot there kind of in the middle towards the bottom in the center column that is a bit orangey, but that's okay. It's going to get mostly covered up. And then I'm doing some splatter with a toothbrush because that's all I had on hand and it's easy to use. And I'm just using the same colors that I did before. Now I'm bringing back my clusters and I really like how that looks. It improved the page a lot, I believe. It just made the cluster and the photo pop a bit up from the busyness of the background, and I just think it looks better. So then I was also trying to find a journaling spot because I wanted to do a lot of journaling on this page, but in the end I decided I'm just going to do a little insert next to the page in my album with the journaling I want to do, and that's okay. I don't know when I will do it, but I'm hoping I will do it sometime soon. So then here, these stickers were black, so I also wanted to bring in some more black because there's a lot of black in the photo. So those are the Simple Stories Domestic Bliss stickers, which I know they don't really have anything to do with the photo, but there's a couple generic ones that I thought I might be able to use. And then I thought maybe I could add some washi tape, but that is not going to work. Well, at least that one's not going to work. That one is from Hobby Lobby, I believe, and it has some gold foil accents. But I didn't like it on this page, so I'm not using it. And now I brought this pale pink in, and just adds like the tiniest little detail, but and I think it ends up getting covered up for most of the part. But it looked nice when I added it there, so I just kept it. And that tape is from Scotch, and I think I got it at Target. And then it dawned on me that this is actually a summer page and that I should be using all the summer collections that I have. And they are a lot. Most of my collections are kind of summery themed. So I pulled out the Dear Lizzie die cut pack from Happy Place because I have not used any of it yet. And I need to use some. I needed to just dig into it a bit just to remind myself of what's in there, and that will help me pull it out more in future layouts. So I found those green palm leaves that I thought were pretty cool, and then I thought maybe I could add a pop of pink up in the cluster there, but I didn't like it. So then I got this cut apart, and I'm going to cut it further apart to just kind of look like add like an extra pattern paper in the layers behind the photo. And then also on the small cluster on the right, I've added a green ticket. That's a die cut from the same Dear Lizzie collection, just to bring in the green from the palm leaves down there as well. And now I decided that this piece is too big. It's covering too much of the photo and just taking up too much space. So I'm fussy cutting it a bit. It's very loosely fussy cut, but... And then I also have these die cut words that I still haven't used. I think I used one, and I have 11 more. So yeah, they're not currently on my list because I still consider them kind of brand new, but I try to use them before they get to a point that they need to be on my list, so it's easier for me to use them then. But anyway, and then this flare is on my list, so I tried really hard to use it, and I did in the end. So you've probably noticed that on the bottom cluster there, I've gotten rid of the navy piece and added a pink one that's a cut apart from the 6x6 Dear Lizzie Happy Place collection paper pad. And then I thought I could add some black splatter, which would help bring out the black a bit more. And it did at the time, but what I'm noticing is that it sinks into the page. So it kind of sunk into the page now that it's all dry. You can't really see it. It ends up getting these black splotches on the page, but that's okay. I'll know not to do that again for future reference. And I think there I used the black tie Ranger pigment ink for that. I don't have any black distressing, so yeah. So now this is a different day again, and I decided to go through the Happy Place 6x6 paper pad to see if there's any other layers that I wanted to add to my photo. So I'm pulling a bunch of different papers out in mostly green and yellow color, because that's what I have going on from this collection at the moment. And then, yeah, I just layered that small piece of yellow behind there, and I think it just helps, it just gives it a nice pop there and a bit of contrast. So I'm going to use that there, but that's about it from the paper pad. I'm still going to take a look though and keep them on the side there just in case. And now in this little, what is it called? This little dish, I have some loose wood veneer pieces that are from like if you've seen my Use It Up video, I have the two sections in my die cut organization that are random die cuts from different collections. And I have the one that's kind of dimensional, so brad, flare, and wood veneer, and then one that's paper die cuts. So the wood veneer and the flare are from one of those sections. So I thought the wood veneer would look really nice on this layout, and I do really like how it turned out. It's just a small little detail, but I do like what it adds. And then I've also added a tab from the desktop collection, not the desktop collection, the desktop Begga Higgins Project Life Waterfall Chipboard Pack. Oh, that's a lot. Up at the top there, it's just a royal blue, and it kind of pulled in the blue from the paper in the background. And that is also on my Use It Up list. And then, sorry if you can hear my little sister yelling. And then I finally figured out how to pull in the black with just that chipboard piece at the bottom there. It says Family Activity, and it's from the Me and My Big Ideas, the chipboard waterfall packs that they have, and it's kind of the family theme. And then I'm also going to add that pineapple there just because I felt like I needed something on the other side of the photo cluster. And now I'm going to finally glue things down, or rather I'm going to staple these layers together because I was too lazy to glue them down to each other, and also that I could keep them in the place where they were originally rather than moving them back and forth. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue down the photo and those tiny bits of pattern, tiny layers of pattern paper, that colorful one. So yeah, I'm going to glue that to the page now, and I know it's totally crooked, but I didn't notice it at the time, so I'm going to leave it on there, and I'm even adding more glue. Yeah, and then I'm gluing that lovingly piece, and I'm going to glue the die cuts. Now, I'm fussing on where to place that wood veneer because, I don't know, it just wasn't really looking right, but I think I figured it out in the end. And I'm going to glue down the cluster at the bottom and the flare badge. And I'm using some big white glue. It's not my favorite adhesive, just for paper, at least for paper on paper, because it's too wet and it makes paper curl. I don't know why, but it works fine for the wood veneer and the flare. So I'm just going to use this bottle up, and I don't think I'm going to buy any more of it unless unless I have no other choice. So then here's when I realized that this layer is completely crooked. So I took my layout and put it against the wall and held it straight and kind of fussed with it for a while off camera, and then glued it down again. Now I decided to ink the edges with this black Tie Ranger ink that I used for the splatter before, just as another black accent. And now I'm just going to do a snippet of journaling, just saying what the picture is about. And then, so this was a picture of us watching a soccer match in the Champions League, for any Europeans that might know that. And our team was playing in it, and I wanted to document the whole way through the Champions League this year, but I needed a lot of space, so that's what I'm going to put on the insert. And then on here I just described what we were doing in the photo, and I also added 2 enamel dots. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. I hope you enjoy the process, and don't forget to hit subscribe to keep up with my Use It Up series.